This is Note-Taking Guide 4.1 for Mathematical Decision Making for Life. Today we're going to start talking about geometric things, and the first thing we're talking about today is perimeter. If you remember, when we talk about perimeter, the perimeter is actually the distance around an object. So it's actually these four linear lengths added together. So the distance around an object. So we're going to find the perimeter of this object here. So we would add the 110, the 150, the 225, the 80, and then we actually need to know what this length is right here in order to add those together. All right, so how are we going to figure that out? Well, if you look right here, the whole length across this 225, and then from here to here is 110. So if I take the 225 and subtract the 110 from it, I get 115. So this length over here is going to be 115. So then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to punch these numbers in my calculator. So 110 plus 150 plus 225 plus 80 plus 115. And the total I get for that is 680. My measurement's in feet, so my measurement will stay in feet. So 680 feet is the length around that object or its perimeter. All right, again, doing the same thing here. We, again, are missing a side right here. I'm not sure what this length is from here to here, so I'll have to figure that out. But if I know this entire length right here is 5, and then the length that goes to here, from here to here, is 1, then this length over here would have to be 4. And then I would just be able to add those lengths together. So I'm going to do 4 plus 1 plus 7 plus 5. And I'm going to add those together to get my answer. So 4 plus 1 plus 7 plus 5 plus 4. And I get 21. The measurement's in centimeters. So I'm going to be 21 centimeters. All right, finding the perimeter, this time we're on a coordinate plane. So I love it when we're on a coordinate plane when we go exactly along one of the directions that the axes go, because that way when we go exactly along, that way we can count it. So you can see each little movement here from one point to the next point, and we can count it. I can also think to myself, look, down here I'm starting down at -1, -2, -3. So this is down -3. And this would be up 5, 6, 7, 8, up at 8. So how far did I move from 3 to -8? Well, this would be 1, 2, 3, and then plus these 8. So that whole length right there is going to be 11. So this side is 11. This side's going to have to be 11 then. And then I can again just kind of count it as I go here. So I could count it like along here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is what it looks like it is. But I could also just double check. So I could see over here that I'm 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm over to 4 here. And then I'm over to 6, -6 here. That's a distance of 10. So I did figure that out correctly. And if that's 10, this is 10. So then I would just add those together. So 11 plus 11 is 22. And 22 plus 20 is 42. So this would be 42. And then it doesn't have a measurement, so I'm going to just put units. So 42 units for the perimeter. So again, it's nice that it just followed along right exactly on the markings of our coordinate plane, because then we could just count it. Now, sometimes we're going to have to use the coordinate plane or a grid paper and draw an object with the given perimeter. So I need an object that has a perimeter of 14. So let's just kind of talk about what that would look like. So if I drew this object right here, this would have a perimeter of 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. So 2, 4, 6, 8. So that's not big enough. So that's not going to work. So let's just random draw another one and give it a try and see what we have. So then the perimeter here would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on this side, 5 on this side. 2 is a length on that side, and 2 is a length on that side. So then when I count my perimeter here, 5 plus 5 is 10, 2 plus 2 is 4, 10 plus 4 is 14. So my perimeter here is 14, so that shape will actually work. Now you guys, that's a great example of how to find perimeter on an object, but I just want to show you that it didn't have to be something like that. Like that's a really nice rectangle, but we could have done something different. We could have done something like this if we wanted to, and counted the perimeter around it. So I'm just kind of guessing on this. So you guys, I might be wrong on perimeter here. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That was a really lucky guess for me to do that because I did not pre-do this. But that object actually has a perimeter of 14. So any object that you can draw that has a perimeter of 14 will work. All right, next question. This one says find the perimeter of the triangle. Now this is really quite easy because again, along here I can just count it. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this one has a length of 6. Over here I can count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that has a length of 5. But I'm stuck with this one now, that diagonal that's not going right directly on the coordinate axes and their points along the way. So because this one is kind of diagonal and doesn't follow through those, I have to find the distance from that another way. So because this is a right triangle, if you remember, there's a formula that helps me find the hypotenuse of a right triangle. It's a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And that's called the Pythagorean theorem. The only side that matters on this formula is the C. The C has to be the hypotenuse. It's the side that's opposite the right angle always, so it's the side that doesn't make the right angle. Do you see how these two sides make the right angle? That third side does not make the right angle. So I'm just gonna plug these numbers in. This can be A, this can be B, or I could switch those around. It doesn't even matter. So I'm gonna go 6 squared plus 5 squared equals c squared, and I'm going to solve for that distance over there. So 6 squared is 36, 5 squared is 25, and that's still equal to c squared. So now I'm going to do 25 plus 36, and I get 61. That would be equal to c squared. To get the squared off, I'm going to square root both sides. And then I'm just going to square root 61 and get a decimal point approximation. It's approximately 7.8. So C is approximately 7.8. So if I want now to find the perimeter of this, that's pretty easy because the perimeter is the length around the object. So I'd have 7.8 plus 6 plus 5. So 7.8 plus 6 plus 5. When I add those together, I get 21.8. So the perimeter of this object is 21.8. So just remember, when we're finding the perimeter, we can always make a right triangle to find that missing side. Also, just kind of a reminder that if we're finding the distance of certain things or the length of certain sides and it doesn't make a triangle, we could try to draw it to make a right triangle so that we could also use this rule. Okay, the last problem says, I need to fence in an area for my dog to run. I have 72 feet of fence that I can use without having to buy more at the store. Find 3 different ways I can create an area for my dog. So even though it keeps talking about area, the fence around the area would actually be the perimeter. So I have 72 feet of fence to make my perimeter equal to. So what we could do, we have to find 3 different ways. So the first thing I just want to try, I want to see if I can divide that 72 into 4 equal parts. Because if I can divide that 72 into 4 equal parts, then I can make a square. And it does divide into, so I could actually go, I'm going to draw it better like a square. I could go 18, 18, 18, and 18. So that's one way that I could draw the area for my dog. And how did I find that? I just took the perimeter and I divided it by 4 because I knew that I needed 4 sides on a rectangle or square. Now, again, it didn't say that it has to be a rectangle. I could do other shapes, but I think that for right now, I'm going to try to stick with rectangles because it will just be easier to do. So just for instance, let's say that I want this side to be 10 and this side to be 10. Well, that would be 20 left out, taken out of the 72. So I could do 72 minus 20 on my calculator. That would give me 52 feet of fence left for 2 sides. So I could take the 52 and divide it by 2, which would give me 26 and 26. Now my picture is not correct on this because 26 should be longer than the 10. But again, I was just sketching it. But there's a second way that I could draw an area for my dog. Now let's just find a third way. Again, you guys, I can just really pick some random numbers here. I think keeping them even is going to help. So let's say I want to do 30. Let's say I want to do 30 on this side and 30 on this side. That makes it 60. And then I would have 12 feet of fence left, split 2 different ways. So I could go 6 and 6. So you guys, there's a lot more ways I could have done this. You might have found different ways than me. But just remember when we're doing perimeter, the opposite sides of a rectangle are going to be equal to each other. So it's easy to make a rectangular shape when we know what the perimeter is going to be. Sometimes we won't want to make a rectangular shape and that could get a little more complicated. But try to keep them rectangular if you want the math to be easy. Thanks for watching this note-taking guide, you guys. Good luck on your homework.